Welcome along to the unit analysis series. This is a brand new series. I've done a lot of videos on top 10 units of classical, LA, high Middle Ages and this period. I've also done the army list analysis videos. You can check out those videos if you want to, but I decided that I would like to do some videos on the individual units, just focusing on the unit itself, admire the unit close up, talk a little bit about the history and how it forms on the battlefield, because I don't know about you, but often I don't really get a chance to admire these units close up when I'm fighting, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Wargaming, to admire and reflect and understand a little bit of the history behind some of these units that we're using. Now, I do know that there are some historians, military historians in the community. I'm not an expert on this period, so please leave comments, make suggestions, add links as you like, and we can share ideas. That's one of the main reasons why I do these videos. So, the Sparabara foot. They were frontline troops of the Persian Empire. Their name means shield bearers, and their impressive looking shields were about 2 meters long, and they were used to protect the troops from enemy missile fire. In terms of composition, they were about 10 ranks deep. The first rank were spearmen, and then the 9 ranks behind were bowmen. They were trained from childhood to be soldiers. In peacetime, they were farmers, shepherds, and hunters. So in peacetime, they were civilians, but I guess we can say that they were semi-professional soldiers. They were effective against Near Eastern enemies, such as the nomadic horse archer armies like the Scythians, but they struggled against the Greeks and the armor and shields of the Greeks, and that's accurately represented in the game because they do tend to struggle against hoplites, for example. How do they do? How do they do in the game? Well, against average quality infantry, especially the light spear swordsman type units, Mede spear, Phoenician foot, and the Assyrian medium foot, they're evens on impact and only 50 down in melee. But what you've got to take into account is the missile fire. They can often disrupt units before impact, or at the very least severely deplete the enemy units, and so upon impact, once in melee, they're not really going to be 50 down. It's going to be a lot closer than that, and as the melee goes on, the combat strength modifier will kick in and they're probably going to have a small advantage. Even against heavy foot, citizen hoplites and the Assyrian heavy foot, they're evens on impact with their light spear, and then they're 75 down in melee. But the same thing, they're not really going to be 75 down because of the missile fire. Against a lot of other heavy foot, you find quite a lot of units that are below average quality. Phoenician spear and the Egyptian spear are actually 12 down on impact against these troops, and then they're 63 up in melee. But again, they're going to be taking missile fire, and one of the important things about this game is troop quality. So any kind of cohesion check from missile fire or once in melee, very likely that they're going to disrupt those kind of units against these guys, so they're probably going to be at a disadvantage. They also do very well against cavalry, because cavalry doesn't do well against missile fire. So yes, you have to be a little bit careful and try and avoid head-on charges, but it's quite likely, especially if you've got a couple of units together, that you're going to be able to disrupt cav before taking a charge. My rating, what's my rating going to be? Well, they did very well in my tests. Apart from hoplites, against your average infantry of the period, they've got a great chance of disrupting it, great chance of depleting those units. Not a lot of armoured units apart from the Greek armies. So in the Assyrian lists, Phoenician lists, Egyptian lists, a lot of protected, lightly protected troops, and they're going to kind of have a field day against those kind of units. So I'm going to give them about an 8 out of 10. About an 8 out of 10 for me. Very effective. If you want to have a look at my army list analysis video, I did a video on the Persians. This is the Persian 545 BC list. But we've got some immortals here, which are our superior quality troops. So they can sort of keep the enemy elite units occupied while these guys do the damage on the weaker parts of the enemy army, and maybe take the rough ground, take the hill, or just focus their fire on the enemy. And it's quite likely, as I say, that they're going to disrupt units. So this is quite an effective army in this period. Okay, thanks a lot for watching. Leave your comments below and see you again soon.